Elizabeth Judith, your courage coach, with your cup of courage for the day. So many of us are uncomfortable with fear to the point where we can't even face it. We can't even look at it. It stays this big, vague blob that every time we even begin to feel that emotion, we just run the other way. We push it aside, we shove it down, we numb it, we get distracted. It's just not an option for us. It's this big, scary shadow that overwhelms us. And because we never look at it directly, we can never really tackle it. We can never overcome it, because if you don't have clarity, it's very, very difficult to take action. And you're not going to get clarity until you're really willing to look at it in the face and see it for what it really is. You know, for many, many years in my marriage, which had become very, very toxic, you know, I was very unhappy, and yet I could not face the thought of leaving. It frightened me so much that I couldn't deal with it. And every time I felt that, it was very upsetting, but I just had to shove it down, shove it aside, slap that smile on my face, and do whatever I could to go on with the way things were, until eventually it became so painful that I basically had no other choice. And at that point, I had to face my fears, because now I had to deal with them in order to survive. And in my particular case, you know, he wasn't going to be able to support me. Even so, there was a lot to be afraid of, and I had a lot of things that I was going to have to look at in order to be okay. And like what I see happen to so many people who are in a similar situation, that once they actually look at their fear and see it for what it is, and start to see exactly what it is that they have to do in order to overcome it, I began to see that it was not nearly as big as I had made it out to be. It had become this big, huge, ominous black cloud, you know, hanging over me, that was so overwhelming, because I didn't know what it really was. But once I saw it, you immediately start to think, you know, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer and stay stuck for so long? And I've seen it time and time again. And it's this unwillingness to really look at the fear. That's the first thing you have to do, is have the courage to look at what it is that you're really afraid of. You have to articulate it. Do that fear setting exercise that I had talked about in an earlier video, which basically says to, you know, write down all of the worst case scenarios that you're afraid of. Get clear, look at it. What is it exactly that you are afraid of could happen? Worst case. And then write down a whole bunch of things that you could do to prevent each one of those things from happening. And then come up with a plan of what you could do for each one of those things to lessen the damage, or to get yourself back to where you were before, should those worst case scenarios come to pass. And when you do something like that, now you have clarity. You can take action on that. You feel more confident. You feel empowered when you won't look at it and it's this big, vague blob shadow. Of course you're afraid to take action. You have absolutely no clarity at all. You have no idea what's going to be out there for you. We have to be willing to look at what it is that we're afraid of. Get clear on it. Go down the throat of it so that we can actually see what it is that we're facing. Come up with some plans. That alone will give us the confidence that we need to move forward. So as the courage coach, this is a really key message for me. I want you to get it because it's so painful for me to see other people who are staying in situations out of that fear just like I did. If you're willing to face it, 9 times out of 10, you really come to see that it's not nearly as big as you think it is. And once you can see what it is and you can break it down into steps and just tackle it one thing at a time, it's, you'll I don't want you to feel that regret of like, why did I wait so long to do it? I hope you find that useful. I hope it helps you go out there and live from your courageous heart.